can pop this up later. I've got the screen set up so that people who haven't chosen to put their video on aren't just sort of down the screen in a weird blank way. But if you feel like you want to put your video on and like join in, I'm really, really pleased to do that. These webinars are always nicer when you've got someone to talk to. If you're not comfortable doing that, though, that's why I've got it set up so that you don't have to, because I know it's not much fun, especially when you know it's being recorded, having your face on. If you have got any questions and you don't want to come on the video, just use the chat and pop some questions in. I may not spot it immediately, but I will spot it and we will have a look at it. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen and we will make a start on the webinar today. And today, I just want to help you guys to find a great VA, if you can. I am a VA myself, and I've been doing it for a little while now. So I feel like I've got a pretty good sort of handle on how to find a good VA and how the process has worked for me, and when the process has worked and when the process hasn't worked, and how my ideal clients tend to come to me. So I'm hoping that I've got a good bit of knowledge to share with you. So we'll move on through. So today's webinar is mainly aimed at small business owners. So you are in the right place if you're a small business owner. And I'm imagining that if you did, hello, oh, chat. Hi, hello, it's so nice to see you. And thanks for saying hi. I'm so pleased. I'm going to pop that over there for now. Right. So as a small business owner, you're probably at the moment, if you are thinking about getting a VA, and I'm guessing you are because, you know, you're here. I'm guessing that you're feeling quite frazzled. You might be starting to drop the ball. You might be missing out on clients or losing clients because you're not seeing their emails, or you see them, but then, you know, you forget about them. You haven't got systems in place to make sure that things don't get forgotten. And yeah, it's costing you business now. And that becomes less funny, doesn't it? Because that's money that's not going into your pocket. You might be feeling overwhelmed because you've got all these different systems and you don't know how to use them, in which case, again, a VA could be a really good way around that by getting someone else to set the system up for you. And you might well be feeling as well like you've got just not enough time in the day. I think all of us are feeling like that a little bit at the moment. My little boy's next door back there with his dad trying to do his maths and his English. So yeah, we're all a little bit overwhelmed at the moment, and it's hard. But when you've got your own business, it's hard all the time as well, I think, because you just don't realize when you start out how much back-end admin there is to do. I find it myself with my own business, with my VA business. Like, I would say 70% of my hours are billable hours. That means 30% of what I'm doing is back-end admin that I'm not getting paid for. It's a lot. So let's keep moving forward. I'll tell you a little bit about me. My name's Katie. I've done a lot of things through my life. I was one of those people who never really settled down to a career until I got to, I think I was about 25, and I'd broken up with my boyfriend, and I'd had to move from Newcastle, where I was living, back home to move in with my dad, which was just shameful at 25, and I was so upset. But my stepmom worked for the DFE at the time in Manchester, and she asked me whether I'd like to get some work experience doing like a teaching assistant, to see if I'd maybe like to be a teacher, because I had my degree. And I kind of did it just to make her happy because, you know, she was feeding me and she wasn't charging me rent. She's lovely. And so that's what I did. And I went into a school the next day with a friend of my stepmom's called Paul, who's the head teacher at a little school in Manchester, primary school called Cheetham Primary Academy. And I loved it. I fell in love with it. And I went back every day as a volunteer until they'd employ me as a teaching assistant. And then I was a teaching assistant for 3 years. And then I was a teacher for another 7 or 8, probably more than that, once you add in like being off for being pregnant and stuff like that. I loved being a teacher. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about being organised, because a lot of being a teacher is about standing at the centre of a huge whirlwind and trying to hold it all in check and keep it organised. And I can do that pretty well now. It didn't come naturally at first, but I can. So I left teaching. It's just about 4 years since I've been in a classroom. Officially, it's more like coming up to 3 years, because I saw out a year's maternity leave before I left teaching. And I became a PA after my maternity leave. So that's 2018, to a local lady who runs a finance firm. And then after that, just sort of the beginning of last year, as lockdown happened, basically, my hours started to drop. And I'd been thinking for quite some time about how I could, expand my business and make it into a VA business. And we'd got the internet, which was really important, because I live in the arse end of absolutely nowhere, and the internet was bad. But we'd got good internet, so I knew that I could run it. And I knew that my daughter, my youngest, was going to go into nursery in September. With 3 hours, so childcare costs were going to come down, and there seemed like no better time. And it went really well, surprisingly. In the middle of a lockdown where people's businesses were failing, mine did really well. And so now I do see myself as a VA first, and not a PA anymore. And I tend to be used by educators, because people like the fact that they can talk to me about education, and they're talking to somebody who already knows how it works, so they don't have to explain all of the acronyms and the way that the education system works, and they can ask me to write fairly specialized things for their blogs and stuff like that. So that's where I've decided to specialize, is in with educators. And this year I'm going to be niching down even further into tech. So I'm going to be doing system setups and stuff like that. I'm really excited about that. Okay, so as a teacher, it's important to have a learning objective for a lesson. So here's mine. I want you, by the end of this session, to be able to understand more about whether you need a VA or not, to work out if you can afford a VA. I want you to be able to work out how to find the right VA for you, because there are a lot of VAs at the moment, especially with sort of people losing their jobs and stuff like that. A lot of people are pivoting, and VA is a popular place to turn. And I want to just do a little bit at the end about how to create a good working relationship with a VA, because I think that's really important as well, to sort of manage expectations and to know how to get on with them, if you see what I mean. So first of all, do you need a VA? Yes. No. I think that you need to think about why you might want to hire a VA. In the UK, it's not as common to have VAs, and like where I live, because it's fairly rural and people are quite old, if you say you're a VA, first of all they ask you what it is, and then they ask you why you would hire someone who you've never met. So there's not a great understanding in the UK of VAs, but it's changing. And this year it's changed a lot, because everyone's had to switch to remote working, and so the idea of hiring someone who isn't sitting next to you in the office is much more normal these days than it was. And I think that you're going to hear a lot more about VAs in the next few years. So if you need a VA, this is how you might look. You might be an entrepreneur or a small business owner who's got a successful business and is starting to feel a little bit sort of overrun by all the tasks that need to be done. You're probably not, though, in a place where you want to hire somebody on a salaried, go through all the national insurance and PAYE and sick pay and maternity pay and everything that comes, all the responsibility that comes with having an employee for the business. So you may need a different solution than that at the moment. Because of how your business runs, you may need it to be a flexible solution as well. One where, some months you're going to be really busy and you're going to need help, and other months you're not going to be busy and you won't need the help, so you'd rather not pay for it. You may feel that you need someone who's a specialist. We talked before about having to learn all these skills to be able to run a business, to set up systems like your CRM systems or your communication systems or your your Shopify type, you know, online shopping systems, anything like that. It's a lot to learn, and a small business owner has to be, in many respects, a jack of all trades. And one way to make sure that you're setting them up correctly and to make sure that you're getting the most out of your systems, especially if you're paying for them, is to hire a specialist to set them up for you and to talk you through how they run, and possibly to maintain them as well. It could also be that you've got specialist systems in your own business that you know how to run, but you can't train somebody else up to do them. You haven't got the time for that. And also, as we said before, you may feel like your admin tasks are just starting to sort of fall through the cracks, and things are building up and you're losing business, and it's having an impact not just on you and your quality of life, but also on your customers. You might be feeling like your to-do list is just never ending. You might be feeling like when you open up your computer in the morning, there's that feeling of dread because you know how much stuff there is to do and you know you're not going to get through it. You might be, I know this second one really well, like missing time with your family because you're having to spend all of your time working. That was me when I was a teacher, and it's really hard because you're not just feeling sad that you're missing out on your family, you're feeling guilty as well that you're not giving them enough time. You've probably starting to feel like you're not really sure why you're doing it anymore, maybe, like if you've let it get bad enough. Everyone sets up a small business because it's something they love. I don't think anybody would go into the world of freelancing and entrepreneurism if it wasn't something they felt passionate about, but you can lose that behind all of the admin and the back end and everything that needs to be done day after day. And that's probably resulting in you feeling really anxious and really overwhelmed, and it being really hard to see the wood for the trees because you're just surrounded, and all the time you're wasting worrying is getting you even further behind. It's not a fun place to be. So the first thing to tell you is you've got to be kind to yourself, guys. You can't do all the things. You really can't. And if you're feeling like you're trying to do all the things and it's not working, you need to outsource, and probably a VA will be your first port of call unless it's something very specialized that you need to outsource. Next question is, can you afford a VA? Short answer is yeah, you probably can, because there's loads of different VAs and there's loads of different kind of levels of VAs, but that kind of feeds into the long answer, which is it depends how much you can afford and what you need, obviously. So let's have a quick look. So the way that I try to explain it to people is to say that VAs are like ketchup, and everybody looks at me weird, but it's really true. So hold on with me. I'm thinking about 3 different levels of ketchup. Right, so you've got your basic own brand ketchup that you would buy for like a kids party when you were doing hot dogs for 30 kids, you know, back in the days when you could have 30 kids at your house. You know, you're going to buy the cheapest ketchup available because honestly, like, the kids are going to know no different. They're just going to stuff it down them. Then you've got your sort of mid-brand 57 varieties. We all know the brand that you would probably use day to day. Certainly in my household, and my parents will tell you, like, there's a bit of an obsession with ketchup that happens in my household. I've been obsessed with ketchup since I was a kid, hence this. And then you get like your really artisanal stuff, don't you, as well, that you wouldn't buy every single week or go to the trouble of making yourself, but every now and again when you're having, you know, a big birthday or a Christmas or something like that, you might choose to invest in the posh ketchup. And VAs are very much like that. You've got your sort of very basic VAs who you can pick up extremely cheaply on places like Fiverr and Upwork. They generally don't live in the country. They generally don't live in the UK or the US. They're usually from further away places like the Philippines. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with them. Those VAs are grand. But the kinds of tasks that you're going to outsource to them are going to be very basic tasks because, number one, there's going to be a communication barrier. They're not going to speak the same language as you. And number two, you're going to be working different hours as well. Like, this person's going to be very, very far away from you on the other side of the world. And so when things go wrong, or if you need an adjustment made, it just gets that little bit harder. So what you need to outsource to a sort of basic own brand ketchup VA is something that is very hard for them to get wrong and needs very little explanation. Then with your sort of 57 varieties VA, I would sort of class myself in with that. They usually live in the UK. You don't normally find them on Fiverr and Upwork, simply because Fiverr and Upwork are usually a race to the bottom for price, and it's very hard to maintain a business charging those kind of prices in the UK, whereas in the Philippines, for example, they need less money to be able to maintain the standard of living. VAs over here can cost, I think the average is £27 per hour now, although the next survey is coming out in the next couple of months, so it'll change probably within the next few months. It can range anywhere between sort of, I would say, £23 and £35 an hour for their services. And for them, you're much more likely to give them sort of mid-level admin tasks, things that are a bit more specialised, require a bit more explanation, are more personal to you and your business. And then you've got like your artisanal posh ketchup VAs, and they can charge, gosh, like £100 an hour, between £60 and £100 an hour, I would have thought. And they offer very, very specialist services. So you will find VAs who have, for example, been PAs to celebrities for years and have all these specialist skills that come with that kind of the PA job that they've done before. And therefore, they're able to charge much higher prices for their time, because their time is worth more. They can offer things that your 57 varieties VAs can't. Tech VAs tend to fall into the 57 varieties, by the way, I might add. The specialised VAs, it tends to be things like online business managers and stuff like that as well, the higher level business management, HR type stuff that you can run your business with. Okay, we'll move along. So when you're trying to work out if you can afford a VA, think about the different levels of payment. So like for an own brand ketchup VA, you can probably pick them up for about £5, £7, I think it's about £8 an hour is about the average. So it's really cheap. For us, Heinz VAs, we cost about £25, £30 an hour. There's usually a discount when there's a package buy. What you've got to think about is how much your time is worth per hour. So you've got to think about the high level tasks that only you can do and what you think they're worth in terms of cash. Like, how much money does that task bring into your business, the things that only you can do. Then think about your admin tasks, think about your diary management, think about your oh God, things like your bookkeeping, things like your invoicing and your expensing and stuff like that, and think about how much money they bring into your business. If you can get more cash flow, if you can get more money by having time to do those higher level tasks that will bring new clients and new money into your business, it makes sense to get a VA to do the lower level tasks that are not bringing that level of money into your business. So that would be how I would suggest that you decide if you can afford a VA. Finding the right VA is an interesting question, because if any of you have been on sites like Mums in Business or oh gosh, any of those Facebook groups where you someone puts a thing up about maybe wanting a VA or thinking about maybe getting a VA, and you'll see the amount of comments that pop up beneath are just untrue, with people going, me, I can do it, me, I can. There's a lot of choice out there, but a relationship with a VA is a really, really special thing. And if you get the right relationship with the right person, you can have a partner in your business for life. You'll have someone who cares about your business as much as you do, who wants it to succeed almost as much as you do, and someone who is like there behind you whenever you need them. But if you're going to find that kind of person, you've got to put the work in beforehand, instead of just going with sort of either the person who pops up as the cheapest or, you know, the first person who pops up in your DMs. It's no good. So when you're looking for a VA, my suggestion is, first of all, ask around. find out from colleagues and friends if anybody knows a VA, and find out what that VA does. You can use agencies, and if anybody wants to know about VA agencies, I know of a couple. There's one called Pink Flamingo, but I'll hunt out the other ones, and I'll put a link up in the sort of the after webinar work in MemberVault. There are also things called VA matchers who are, I don't know loads about them. I've seen a few of them on Facebook. They sound a little bit like VA pimps. Not quite sure about that, but but I think what they do is, I think that's their particular niche, is finding the right VA personality-wise for you. There are professional organisations, and you can look through them. People who are a member of a professional organisation are accountable to somebody, and that counts for a lot when you're beginning a relationship, because it shows that there's a level of trust that you can place in them, because you can go to a larger organisation who are behind them and complain if they don't do what they say they will do. The two that I know of in the UK are AVPA and the Society of Virtual Assistants. I'm a member of the Society of Virtual Assistants. I'll come back to my super sneaky bum villain way in a second, because it's one of my favourite ways of well, it's one of the ways that I get clients, and I think it's really interesting. But the other thing that you can do is to just ask a VA. So if someone comes to me with an inquiry and it turns out that what they need isn't something that I feel I can offer, I know about a million other VAs, because I network with VAs all the time, and I can usually find someone who will suit you down to the ground. And I think any VA worth their salt will know a few other VAs and will be able to give you a suggestion. So for example, just before Christmas, a lady came to me, a local lady actually, and I don't get many local clients. She sells gin, she sells delightful gin, I might add. And she wanted some help with maintaining her website and sorting out the shop end of it, the Shopify part. That is not something that I'm very good at. Website, yes. Shopify, no. Don't tend to do online selling like that. But because I work on LinkedIn and because I'm in Facebook, I know quite a few other VAs, and I know one who is particularly great at that. And I know that she excels in small kind of craft businesses as well. So she works on Etsy and Folksy and things like that quite a lot for her clients. And so I put those guys in touch, and they are working very happily together still now. Let's come back to the super sneaky bum villain way of doing it. Here is my super special secret trick for finding a VA. Go into one of your Facebook groups, go into LinkedIn, go into wherever you are on social media. A lot of VAs hang out on Instagram. It's not me, but you can find them there. And ask a question, not about like if anybody knows a VA. Ask a question about the thing that you feel you need support with. So if you're looking for someone to set up your CRM for you, for example, ask a question about like, oh, I'm really struggling to set up my CRM at the moment. I'm working with HubSpot, and this is the thing that I'm finding hard. Can anyone help me? What you'll find is a large number of people will jump onto that going, me, I can help you, but they won't tell you how. And they won't show any interest in the question that you ask. They will simply jump on and sort of and try to sell themselves to you. In amongst all that noise, there'll be a couple of people who will show that they know what they're doing, because they'll ask you a question to find out some more information about what it is you're struggling with, or they'll offer you some practical help. Those are the people that you want to follow up with, not the ones who are trying to sell themselves to you, but the ones who are trying to offer you solutions. That is my super sneaky bum villain way, and I have got quite a few clients that way by someone. The last client I took on asked in a Facebook group what VAs do, and like how to know what sort of tasks to give to a VA. And he had 50 responses to that said, I can help you, I'm a VA. I sent a little message, I commented and just said, I've got a really great set of slides that I made for a webinar that I did about how to find a good VA and like how to know what to outsource to them. Do you want me to send it over to you? Just pop me a DM with your email if you'd like me to. And he did, and I sent him the stuff over, and he took me on. I think what you're looking for when you're looking for a VA is someone who's interested in helping you, not someone who's necessarily interested in selling themselves to you, because the VA should be specialised in what you want. So you should be looking for a specialist VA, but they should be looking for a specialist client. They shouldn't be jumping on to every client that is possible to sell to. That's my opinion. So, how to know if you are made for each other. I liked that rocks thing because I thought it was quite, I looked for pictures for made for each other and it was all people holding hands. But I like the idea of filling the gaps, plugging the gaps in your business. So that's where we got to. So knowing that you're made for each other, knowing that that VA is likely to be someone who you could work with, do your homework. Go and look at their social media sites. Go and look at their website. Is it professionally done? Does it look good? Has it got its own domain name? Have they invested in things like a domain name and an email address that shows that they've made a financial commitment to their own business? Also, have a look and see how long they've been going for. Like how far does their social media stretch back? Trust your instincts. If you look at it, you go, looks all right, but there's something about that says no. Go with it. Your gut usually knows. Take advantage of a free discovery call if it's there, because that is an opportunity for you to go in and ask questions. And if the discovery call is a video call, take advantage of that as well, because face-to-face is really important. We're social animals and we use each other's cues, don't we, to find out about each other. So definitely use a video call, even if you feel a bit uncomfortable with it, try it. I would be looking for a VA who's checking me out as well as me checking them out. Because when you hire a freelancer, you're hiring a partner. You're not like, this is not someone like a little admin secretary below you. You're hiring a partner for your business, someone who runs their own business. And they will have people who they think are an ideal client for them. And they should be asking you questions to make sure that they fit with you as much as you asking them questions to make sure that you fit with them. So when you're on your discovery call, or if you're filling out a form or communicating with them by DM or email, whatever it might be, make sure that your VA is asking you questions and not just saying yes to everything that you say. You don't want someone who says they can do everything for you. And while you're talking to your VA, I've got 7 questions for you that will make sure that the VA that you're hiring is, at the very least, capable and moral. So ask them what their story is. It's helpful, I always think, to get a bit of background on someone, because you can tell a lot about someone by their previous experience, about what they've done, and it can give you a really good idea of what you think they could do for you as well. So I always recommend that you ask a VA who they are, what their previous job experience is, like what they did before they were a VA. All of those things are mega important and will give you a rounded view of your VA. And it'll kind of tell you about their personality as well, because personality is a big thing in whether you're going to work with someone or not. Ask them how long they've been doing it for. I am not saying that a VA who has just started out is no good, because that is not true. Mainly because this time last year, I was a VA who's just started out and I'm good. But especially this last year, there's been waves of recessions and there are more to come, guys. Like furloughs finishing whenever it's finishing, whenever Rishi decides to knock it on the head. And when that does, people are going to lose their jobs. People already have, and people need to find ways to make money. And there will be a huge wave of freelancers coming onto the market and trying to sell their skills. It doesn't mean just because they've just started out that they're not right for you. What it does mean is that you'll know by how much experience they've got, whether their sort of procedures and policies are well established, or if they're something they're still learning and developing. And that means that you can weight your expectations accordingly. And I think that's super important as well. It took me a long time to nail down my things like my onboarding and stuff like that. Now, this is really, really important. You need to ask them what the security protocols are, because they are going to be holding on to at least your data and playing about with your data and your passwords if you choose to hand them over. But if they're looking after your client's details as well, then that's more data that they're handling, and you need to know that that data is looked after and secure. Your VA should have, at the bare minimum, a good antivirus program that's paid for, and you should be asking them about that has malware protection and things like this. Everything should be being backed up securely. It should be done to an external hard drive, preferably to cloud as well, but one or the other definitely. And if they're backing up to the cloud, they should be able to tell you which cloud they're backing up to, and they should probably know where the physical storage of that is, because that has an impact on data protection. I would also say that I'd want if I was going to hire a VA, I'd want them to be registered with the ICO, because it shows, again, that they care about their job and that they want to be professional. I would also add to that, actually, that I haven't put on the screen, see if they've got a GDPR contract for you to sign as well. Again, it's just another indication that they've thought about the role and they've thought about how they can professionally fulfill that role. All right, so ask them how much they cost, because while I've just told you a good average, it's hard to know, and some VAs don't put the costs on their website. I do. I'd rather not have people ring me up and kick the tires. But yeah, freelance VA charges between 20 and 30 pounds, probably more like 25 and 35 now. But make sure you know what's included in the cost, because lots of VAs will have policies about phone calls, for example. My policy states that phone calls of a few minutes are not billed typically, but any phone call of more than sort of 5 or 10 minutes will be billed for and should be booked in as well, because everyone's time is precious, isn't it? They might have expense policies and things like that you need to know about, like how they charge expenses and what expenses they expect you to cover. They may have policies about working outside of hours too. So it's really important that you find out what the costs are, get them broken down, and find out about any hidden extras that there might be as well. Knowing what the turnaround time is going to be important for you. It'll depend on the VA, from VA to VA. Lots of them will block out time for you in a week. So let's say you need them for about 2 hours a week. They'll block those 2 hours, and they need their tasks from you by the time those 2 hours turn up, because the rest of their week is blocked. These tend to be very busy VAs who have that many clients that the only way that they can organise the work is to block pieces of time for each client. Some VAs are more flexible. I'm able to be more flexible because I tend to do my VA as a bit of a part-time gig while looking after the kids at the same time. And they might have a turnaround time of 24, 36 hours. I say at the moment, my turnaround time is 24 to 48 hours if you just send me a task. And yes, this is where I put about the emergency work policy. Mine says outside of hours, but it tends to be where for me, it would be when something was inconvenient for me, because I work all hours anyway. Like if I have to work when the kids go to bed, I work when the kids go to bed. But it's if a client asked me to work outside of hours, then I would probably charge extra, a premium. This is probably outside of sort of practical things like insurance and stuff like that. This is probably my biggest one, is working out how someone communicates. When I have a discovery call, that is the question that I ask my clients, because it's really important to me that we're going to be able to communicate efficiently together. And it's not to do with, I mean, I wouldn't say that any particular method of communication is bad, but some prefer one method, some prefer another, and never the twain shall meet. You know what I mean? Like I've had clients who will only speak to me on the phone. That doesn't work for me. Number one, they may mention something during a phone call, which I then forget and haven't written down, and I don't like that. Number two, my hearing's not amazing. And so I might not hear everything they've got to say, and that makes the phone call more stressful for me. I work in a few different ways, but I prefer video calls and emails because I can record video calls and I can do emails quite nicely as well. All right. Do you have insurance? Insurance is really important. Your VA should have, at the very least, professional indemnity insurance, and they should be able to show you their policy. If they can't show you policy, don't hire them, because they're handling your data and they're handling your company. And if they make a mistake, and for some companies, especially like social media type ones, you know, it could be like a hashtag out of place or something like that. You need to know that they're protected and that you're protected with the policy. Once again, I would also say that it's just a detail that shows that they've made a financial commitment to their own business. They're not just sort of doing it to try and make a fast buck. They've thought about how the business should run and they've set it up properly. I would also be asking a VA if they have a contract for me to sign as well. And if a VA didn't have a contract for me to sign, I would make sure that I had a contract for them to sign, because again, it's another way of keeping yourself protected. So those are my, like, on your discovery call, those are my questions that I think you should be asking any VA. I've pretty much gone through my answers now. You know what my story is. You know how long I've been a VA for. My security protocols, yeah, like I've got a VAS, I've got an external hard drive, and I back up to the cloud, and I'm ICO registered. My rates can be found on the website anyway. I've talked about my turnaround time. I've talked about communication, and yeah, I'm insured, man. This is a question I get asked all the time, is how to know what tasks to assign to a VA. And I mean, really, the answer is anything you like. But I would suggest before you go on a VA hunt, you work out what tasks you think you might like to give to a VA, because it'll help you to find the right VA. You want a VA who specialises in the tasks that you need to hand out. My trick for doing this is to give you homework. And your homework is, teacher. Your homework is to sit down one day, maybe take a couple of days, and literally just as you're doing the task, just on a Post-it, write down the task that you did, and keep a pile of Post-its until you've written down all the tasks that you do in a week. And then I want you to sort those tasks out. Oh, that formatting's awful, dear me. I want you to sort those tasks out, into a way that you value. For a lot of people, that's money. So you might sort them out into £10 tasks, £100 tasks, £1,000 tasks, and value them financially. It works for a lot of people. I would say most people will do fine sorting the tasks out into sort of money. But you could do it in a different way. You could sort it out by how much you like the tasks, how much you enjoy them, because you might be one of those people who, if it's a task you don't like, it will never get done. Like, you will procrastinate until the end of time. In that case, that's how you need to sort those tasks out, because that's what you need help with. It might be that you have tasks that take up a lot of your time, and so you feel like you'd like to sort them into, I don't know, like 5-minute, 10-minute, hour-long tasks or something like that. However you want to sort them, but sort them with a value that is important to you. If you're not sure which value is most important to you, just do it with money to start off with. And then as you get better at it, you might want to readjust. That will tell you immediately what kind of tasks you can outsource to a VA. Basically, you're looking in the £10 and the £100 tasks. £10 task will probably be extremely low specialization, sorting, inbox management, that kind of thing. £100 tasks will be more personal to you, something that you may not be as willing to let go of control of, but if you can, a VA will be able to do it well for you. You're looking there at things like social media management, software setups and things like that. And then those £1,000 tasks, those are the ones that you need to be doing, because they're bringing in the most money to your business, and that's the way that you're going to be making your money, because you're letting somebody else do those little widdly £10 tasks while you're bringing in thousands and thousands of pounds. This is a very brief cheat sheet of the sorts of tasks that a VA can do. It is by no means exhaustive, and there'll be millions of things on there that I haven't thought of. The one thing I would say is, with your bookkeeping, be careful. There are rules about who can do bookkeeping and how much bookkeeping they can do for you. And in general, you need to pay for a certificate. So you would need a very specialist VA to do that for you. If you're asking someone to do bookkeeping, make sure they know and make sure they've got a certificate. But yeah, things like, I've been asked to build databases. Like, these here are my sort of wheelhouses: writing articles and blogs. That's what I love doing. Social media management. I like doing community management to an extent. I look at this, I don't even know what SEO is particularly. Like, if you asked me to do that, I'd be finding you a different VA. Making landing pages, building you a website, helping you with your email funnels. Like, I write welcome sequences for people, for subscriber lists. You can get them doing dictation. You can get VAs who will take minutes for your meetings. They'll turn up on a Zoom meeting and do your minutes for you. That is a really good service, by the way, and there aren't loads of VAs who do it. They will help you with your invoicing. Again, you've got to be a little bit careful, but like expenses and stuff like that is fine. I've done creating manuals and policies for people. I sort out, I'm a bit of a Gmail specialist, so I will go into someone's email inbox and not only clear it out, but also sort it so that it doesn't get messy again. All of these things are things that VAs can do and more. So if you find the perfect VA and you decide to sign a contract and hire them, how do you keep a good, productive relationship? These are the things that I have found with my clients have been the most productive in building a good relationship. And I do pride myself on building relationships with clients, actually, because I haven't lost one yet, and I've been going for a year. So people like to work with me, like my work product, but this is what we did in the beginning to make the relationship work. We communicate a lot. And that's on both sides. Like, you need to make sure that your VA knows that if they've got a question, you'd rather they asked than didn't. You don't want a guesser, you want an asker. I think from your side, from the client side, it's really helpful for a VA to have someone who understands that the first couple of weeks are going to involve quite a lot of relationship building and explaining how tasks work and how you want them done, because otherwise it'll take longer to settle in. If you can set aside time in the first few weeks to have a few sort of video calls and to talk through tasks and explain exactly what you need from them, you will find that things will settle in much easier, and you'll need to communicate less and less as time goes on. I think shared expectations is a really big one, making sure that both of you understand what you're going to get from the relationship and what you expect from the relationship in return. That's hugely important. And just taking time to build a rapport, like have a little chat at the end of a call. It's nice to know the person who you're working with personally. It doesn't have to be a friendly relationship, but it does have to be personable, and you do have to understand each other's circumstances, because in that way you can work as a partnership and as a team. And that's one of the things that I like best about being a VA, is I don't feel like I work for someone, I work with someone, and their business means a great deal to me as well, and I want it to succeed. And because I feel like I'm a partner, I feel able to make suggestions and have ideas, and that to me is what a great VA should be doing, is to be contributing to your business, not just doing the little tasks, but contributing and helping you to push it forwards. So that's my sort of that's me. I'm done, dudes. Does anybody have any questions before I depart? Listen, you don't have to ask questions here and now. Like in the membership, in the member vault bit, there are little quiz questions. And if you type your questions in there and press submit, they will come through to my email address and I will respond to them. Also, you can generally find me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Instagram and Twitter, less so. Twitter makes me twitch because of all the politics that goes on there, and Instagram is just, it's too many pictures. So yeah, Facebook and LinkedIn are my main places to be, and I'm really glad to ask questions there. I do hope that it's helped. I hope that it's sort of it's helped you to move forward and to understand a little bit more about how you can go about finding a great VA. And understanding that it's not just about picking up someone who can do your admin work, it's about finding a partner, and it's about finding someone who you're going to want to work with long term, even if it's not every month. Even like I've got clients who dip in and out, and you know, one month I won't have anything from them, and another month they'll have lots for me to do. And I love that. I love the fact that I get to sort of pop back into their lives every now and again, and you know, and help with their business. So yeah, think carefully. If you've got any questions, or if you want me to give you any recommendations, or help you to find places where you might be able to find a VA, anything like that, any links, anything, just pop me a quick DM. Do it in Member Vault, do it in Facebook or in LinkedIn, and I'll very gladly help. Like I want to make sure that I'm sharing the VA love as far as I can. So guys, I hope you had a good time. Thank you very much for coming. And I'll speak to you again soon. Bye. Where are we going? Bye. Bye.